Welcome, one and all, to Pacific414 episode review. I'm your host, Mike, and this review is for the Orville episode 2, Shadow Realms. And this is for the Orville New Horizons to be more explanatory. But what an episode! I mean, if you're a horror fan, you absolutely love this episode. It had those moments where everything was creepy, but it also established a new threat. The Union is now able to explore a region of space that's never been explored before, and it's going to build up to hopefully a lot of good things for the remainder of the season. But I gotta say, if anybody joined me during the live reaction part, you saw my reaction during the episode, and I gotta say, there were parts of this episode that were extremely creepy. I mean, extremely creepy. And what ends up happening to certain characters and what they become, wow, it's absolutely creepy. And as far as what did I think of this episode? Was it as good as last week's? I don't know that it was necessarily as good as last week's or even bad. It was good in its own right, especially if you like horror. Now, for me, I'm not really much of a horror fan, but still, it had me jumping at certain points, and that's what they wanted to achieve. Now, some of the dialogue was interesting, but of course, I could elaborate a little more if I watched the episode for a second time. But wow, this episode, it had moments where your heart was pumping and you're just rooting for, John and rooting for Talia, rooting for everybody. And of course, Claire in this episode too, it gives us a little bit more about her and, her history with certain characters that are introduced in this episode. And I've got to say, I really enjoyed this episode. And if I were to give it a rating, I would give it probably a strong 4 out of 5 if I'm going to give it a rating. Last week's episode was, a perfect 10 in a scale of 1 to 10, 5 out of 5. But this one, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And of course, I'll go back and watch it. There was a first contact situation, and a wait mission, seems to go as planned. And, a few other things do happen in this episode. So I really enjoyed it. And I do intend on keeping all these reviews short and sweet and to the point, because anytime I ramble on a little too long, then even I lose interest. And I've been told by people, we like the reviews, it's just that they're a little too long sometimes. Could you consider cutting them down? And that's what I've been trying to do. But overall, I like this episode, and I am definitely going to watch it again. I don't know if I'm going to watch it immediately after ending this review portion, but I am definitely going to watch it again. And I want to thank everybody who came by stream, and you can see some of those folks here who came by. As a matter of fact, we had George Lucas come by. We also had the Fuppets come by. We also had Gab Stargate come by. We also had the Admiral, the Nerporeal life form. And we also had DJ Ronnie G come by. Also, for the first time, and I really appreciate it, PJ, the Orville Nation. Thank you for stopping by, brother. Really appreciate it. I mean, you know what I would love to do? When it comes to this episode, I would love to talk about it with folks, on an upcoming live stream. As a matter of fact, this Saturday, I do have a live stream coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern. That's 8 p.m. Eastern this Saturday night, and it's about pop culture and sports. And if anybody wants to come on and talk about this or any other episode of the Orville or anything that they're enjoying right now, well, you're more than welcome to come on. I also want to thank Brandon Looney Tunes Fans 2000 for coming by. The Padawannabe, thank you very much. Phil McCracken, thank you very much for coming by. But yeah, folks, if you like the creeps, you know, the spooks, the creeps, the heebie-jeebies, because it gives you that. It gives you those horror aspects. It gives you those aspects where somebody's walking in a dark hallway and all you hear are sounds around you. It gives you, you know, the spine tingling moments. I do highly recommend this episode. I enjoyed this episode. Again, for me, it's a 4 out of 5. Last week's episode was a 5 out of 5. And yeah, a lot of that does have to do with the fact that it was the return of the Orville. But I really did like this episode, and I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on this episode in the comment section below. Because, you know, this episode will be talked about for a while. A good long while. In my opinion, I believe it's going to be talked about as one of the better episodes of the Orville. Now, if you disagree, that's fine. State why you disagree. But this episode, for the horror fan alone, is a good episode. Even for the non-horror fan, you're going to enjoy this episode. So, folks, I highly recommend this episode. I highly recommend the Orville. If you haven't watched the Orville yet, you're missing out on a very good show. You know, the show started in 2017, and the last time prior to last week that we'd seen any episode of the Orville and a new iteration was, you know, after The Road Not Taken for the season 2 finale. And right now, season 3 is off to a very good start. And I can't wait to see what 8 more episodes bring us when it comes to the Orville. I mean, Seth MacFarlane and everybody seem to have a roadmap for the season, and hopefully they continue on that roadmap. But again, I highly recommend this episode, and I highly recommend you watch it multiple times, especially if you're a fan of horror. I'm going to keep saying that. If you're a fan of horror, you're going to enjoy this episode. So again, this episode is a recommended episode from me. It's from me. So what are you doing listening to me for? Go watch the episode. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this as the live reaction portion, or if you're just watching it as the review portion. Thank you all so very much. Thank you to everybody who stopped by during the live reaction portion. I do plan to do another live reaction to episode 3 next week. And as far as I know, episode 3 is dropping at midnight Eastern. So I will probably be giving my live reaction then, and maybe a short review like this one. And then I'll jump over to Norporeal Lifeform's channel and join him and Spock's Friday Nights, and you'll hear our reaction to the episode, and perhaps a super secret guest, as Norporeal Lifeform likes to put it, you know, will join us, and we'll all talk about the next episode of the Orville. Heck, we might even talk about these first 2 episodes of the Orville. You never know. So thank you all very much for watching. If you like what you saw here, give this video a thumbs up, or give it a thumbs down. Share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the Pacific414 YouTube channel, because I don't just do episode reviews. I do movie reviews. I do gameplay videos and live streams. And I also talk about the Chicago Cubs on occasion, because one of my sayings here on the channel is, I'm not just a baseball guy, I'm an all-around guy. Thank you all so very much. Again, have yourselves a good morning, evening, afternoon, a good day in general, good weekend, a good week, And I will see you all later. Take care.